So back during the pandemic of 2020, when the world shut down, billion-dollar tech companies like Google, Amazon, and Twitter moved their operations to remote work to comply with COVID protocols, which meant that employees could continue to earn six-figure salaries from their bedrooms in places like San Francisco, New York, and LA. While initially it was supposed to last for a few weeks or maybe a month or two, it ended up lasting over a year, and some tech companies, especially after seeing the productivity metrics, decided to move huge fractions of their staff to full-time remote work. Data released by the U.S. Bureau of Labor showed that in many industries beyond tech, like finance and insurance, the rates of employees working remote jumped from 11 to 44% by mid-2021, and the country reopening after COVID really didn't make a meaningful dent in this trend. This, unfortunately, turned places like Civic Center San Francisco and downtown Seattle into basically ghost towns, full of empty office buildings and decrepit businesses, whispering distant memories of a bygone Silicon boom. But employees were happier and the companies had decided. Zoom is the move. Microsoft Teams is the dream. Google Meet is heat. And so employees were faced with a simple question. Should I continue to live paying $2,000 a month for an overpriced studio apartment in a place that I'm not even from, which I moved to be closer to an office that doesn't exist anymore? Or should I take my inflated California paycheck that I'm continuously earning and go live large somewhere else on the cheap? I'd pick option 2 every day. And so they did, descending upon places like Austin, Nashville, Arizona, Idaho, and Montana like an army of software engineers. Now, what do landlords, merchants, business owners, developers, and just everyday hustlers do when they hear and see that a bunch of rich people are coming to town? They jack up the prices, see what they can get away with, and adjust the cost of services based upon the incomes of the transplants. But gradually, as transplants become a majority, everything becomes more expensive, which brings about issues such as cultural erosion and local displacement. In some cases, displacement can be prevented by implementing a mass-scale rent freeze for people below a certain income level, which Mamdani's trying to do in New York City. But most of the time, the interests of city politicians are tied in with the interests of developers. So they do nothing, they actually sponsor and promote it, and allow outside investors to tear down their cities at the cost of the community and rebuild new infrastructure to support the interests of tourists and transplants. Which brings us to Mexico City, where they're experiencing an even more magnified version than what was faced by affordable American cities who were sacked by remote workers after COVID. They're referred to down in the city as digital nomads, and they've anchored themselves, as I mentioned, mainly in the Roma Norte area, where they can be seen packing nearly every English-signed coffee shop with laptops, presumably at work.